Hello, Mike, and hello to our viewers around the world. This is Travel Again Presents, the weekly travel roundup. Headwinds and tailwinds impacting the business of travel. This is a weekly look at what matters most to our amazing industry. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good. How are you? End of summer, so we're starting to make the move into post Labor Day fall, and everybody gets back to business in a big way, back to school, and tries to cram 9 months worth of business results into into three, the usual. But exciting nonetheless, and certainly again hopefully a good continued one for the travel industry as we keep seeing the recovery we've talked about, and hopefully end up the end of this year right on schedule with a good solid platform and basis to build and grow beyond, right, for the industry in total.
Mike, also, it's preseason football here in the States, and the Eagles were on last night in another preseason game. 17 days away, and the season kicks off. Any thoughts on the Eagles this year?
Looking good, man. Roster's loaded. Very exciting. Well, tough
Is
schedule though. Tough schedule, being the defending NFC champions. So, but the Phillies too, very exciting as we get into fall baseball, which is always great, and our Phillies are in it as well. So that's like it'll be a lot of fun to have both going at once, as it is.
Will be. All right, Mike, I'm going to dive right in this week. We had a lot of commentary, a lot of feedback about the article from Amazon around AI travel guides. And so I thought I'd follow that up this week with two quick articles about AI. Microsoft has pulled an AI written travel guide, which told tourists to visit the Ottawa Food Bank if they're hungry. The second article was Microsoft took down a string of embarrassing travel articles created with algorithmic techniques, but it says AI isn't the problem. We're seeing more of this, Mike. Any thoughts?
Well, I'll turn it over to you, but I didn't know the Ottawa Food Bank had earned its Michelin star, so clearly, I'm sure they do great work, but I don't think that was what was intended. And Microsoft saying that about it's not AI isn't the problem. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, how stuff would get posted without somebody doing it, like doing some sort of quality control check, is the real issue I think they're getting at. But I don't know, thoughts about this, because man, AI is like one of those things to me now. It becomes this, like, it gets used for everything. It's as opposed to really getting to what things are really all about. What do you think? I mean, we're seeing like you said, we're seeing these articles all the time now.
Yeah, look, I think there's amazing power here. And it's really tempting to use this power from a content creation perspective in travel, because the instinct to have content created easily without humans involved about travel guides or about what to do in a city, like the instinct to use AI and generative AI for that, I think is strong. And I think over time will play out and be a good thing for the industry. But the early advances here are showing, that it isn't quite ready for prime time. And so
Right.
using it to create travel guides, whether you're trying to sell those on Amazon or to actually create content for your website where you're recommending, burgers as top cuisine, in Ontario or other, kind of unsupervised mistakes. This needs to be curtailed. It needs to be used a little more wisely. And Microsoft was smart to pull it down, but obviously got caught, in the midst of this, and needs to do a better job of curating. And I think everybody's going to need to do that. This is AI right now needs a human to do the editorial and to do the truth fact, checking on it, because it comes out with things that just aren't true.
But even in the article too, they kind of say, well, quick to say, oh no, this wasn't because it was unsupervised. Yeah. And then there's like to me, like also a brand image kind of reputation thing at play here, where it's like, well, how did that happen, right? And it's like they're saying, well, that's not, that wasn't unsupervised. It's like, well, okay, but then it was poorly supervised, because clearly, it wasn't content that should have ever been posted in any way. So I think companies are really in a bit of a bind here, right? They kind of want to have like you said, the, let's say, operational efficiencies, and, can generate a lot more content, and, not have to add staff to do it. And it's like, yeah, but it's not ready for prime time in that respect.
Not ready for prime time.
You got to protect
here,
the brand.
in this article, in this particular picture, it's talking about an old-fashioned hamburger. There's also a discussion about seafood, one of 6 local delicacies, describing seafood as any form of sea life regarded as food by humans. So just weird stuff comes out, and it just has to be edited, has to be thought through. I promise in future episodes, I'll cover and bring up some articles about some amazing things going on in travel with AI. So I won't just make fun of some mistakes. I'll give you some good articles in the future.
Yeah,
Speaking of that, go ahead.
That'd be good, right? I mean, because you're right. There is some, some really good use cases, right, that are interesting,
Yes.
and compelling about what can be done, right? So it's both, but
in the meantime, it's fun to see the mistakes and show those off. One last thing in this genre is that Focusrite, one of the biggest travel conferences of the year, has announced their theme is You, Me, and the Machine. And I thought this theme was really well thought out, Mike. I'm looking forward to the conference. And it clearly hits on the fact that it is not just about the machine taking over. It requires you. It requires me. It requires that human element. I'm looking forward to a lot of content at the Focusrite conference related to this.
Yep. Should be good. Should be great. Some really great discussion.
Okay. Next article, Mike, is about our favorite topic, NDC. This one was about ASTA, the American Society of Travel Advisors, asks the DOT to require American Airlines to return fares to EDIFACT. Is it possible to put the genie back in the bottle here? And is it even smart for ASTA to take this stance?
Well, I think ASTA, as they would need to do, are representing their member base, right? Which is primarily, it is what it sounds like. It's travel agencies, all different sizes, a lot of, you do have the large organization, large agencies that are part of it, sure, but it's a lot of their membership are, smaller regional boutique agencies that are, trying to stay relevant and successful in the business, right? And so on behalf of that membership, I mean, no doubt buying time is, a part of what they need to do as to basically represent their members. Now, is this going to work? I give it a pretty low probability, because I don't think the DOT, although they may, review and certainly, like take meetings in respect to the issue. I think actually taking action here is tough, because this is, again, this is a business decision that American made. They took the risk. If you're in a business, I mean, just generally, you have the right to distribute your content however you want with whoever you want. Now, one of the things we always said when you and I were at GBTA, and part of the policy approach we took, is in these situations, we said, yeah, as long as you do it consistently and fairly, right? If you're doing it consistently among, and not biasing different member segments, it's just you're saying, look, if I'm distributing through this channel, we said, look, if you distribute through a channel, then you make the content available. But you do have the right. I mean, that's your business, and you take the benefit and the losses, and as a result of those decisions. So I think it's a tough one. To your point about the genie in the bottle and kind of putting things back, I don't think that's going to happen. But it is maybe also, there's a common ground here to say, which I think the industry does and will address, which is, how do we work with getting more and more of the industry through the process to be able to access full content. And I think, on the other hand, I think American would be smart to also create paths to enable that process, reflective of that. You've got small agencies with limited resources, right, who don't have the mega agency budgets for capital and for tech, right? So if you're kind of saying, okay, we recognize that, and we're willing to kind of look and work with creating pathways to be able to get them through the other side, give them tools to be able to do so, et cetera. I think, there's a common ground here, right? But I don't think it's going to be an issue of being able to put it all back, nor will American want to.
Okay, Mike, thanks for that perspective. Our next two articles are in the air travel safety category. The first is from the Wall Street Journal. More workers are getting hurt on the tarmac. Quote, it was really frightening. The second article is from the New York Times, and it's airline close calls happen far more often than previously known. I'll bring up both articles, but clearly air safety on the tarmac and air safety, as airlines are moving around on the tarmac, seems to be a problem. Thoughts?
Well, look, safety, security of our airline system, in every element is paramount, right? Based absolutely fundamentally, necessary for us to all feel confident in the system that we're all using. And this is an area, again, where, you do need government oversight, and you do need really active participation, with the government on these issues, on, where DOT does get involved, where FAA does get involved, and really, again, not only putting policies in place, but be actively enforcing them and making sure that we have a safe and secure system. So this is this is money well spent in terms of our tax dollars and where it goes to work. So it is concerning when you see this, because we do have a very busy and let's say full on return to full capacity system, right? But the problem is, we've said this and been saying it for like years and years and years, but we also, as a government, have not made the investments in modernizing the systems that we have. We're still working off the same air traffic control. We're still working off of a lot of the same tech that was developed, decades ago, right? So it's a real issue, and it's not going to go away, and it's going to require significant investment. And I know, post COVID, we've got big economic issues. Budgets are constrained, debt is rising. Of course, it's not an easy environment, right? But you see these, again, these are not issues of, these are issues of a system that is overburdened and needs investment in a big way. And then as far as both that and just, again, safety standards, the airlines, look, they're profitable now. There's no reason that they shouldn't have a very safe and safe environment for their workers to work, on the tarmac through the system. I mean, this is also on the airlines themselves.
Some of these near misses, watching the illustrations of the New York Times article, are quite concerning, quite scary. So I'm glad that they were misses, but obviously more needs to be done.
Yep.
Okay, Mike, thank you. We're going to end today with one more article on air travel. American Airlines pilots approved a sweetened labor deal with big raises. Seems to be following in the footsteps of Delta. Any thoughts on this?
It's all pretty normal. We predicted it and said it before. I mean, once the United Delta, once deals were getting done, I guess on the with the others, I mean, it's like dominoes falling, because once those benchmarks are set, then that basically drives the labor deals at all the other major airlines. So it's the new benchmarks were set. The airlines are profitable. This is a way of kind of catching up and getting it'll be pilots, flight attendants, as all the contracts come up, they'll get basically they'll get raises, and they're saying big raises, but they're basically some of it is just recouping back basically either wage freezes or reductions that were made during the harder times, right? So this is again, some of it's catch up, some of it's planning for the future, but they're also want, as you do, right? You need your employees to buy in and to be, and to stay employed. And there have been labor shortages on the, pilots particularly. Right? We've got huge pilot shortages. So, no doubt, right? They're going to get paid more.
Okay. Thank you, Mike, for the perspective. Great to see you again. Thanks to all of our followers out there. That's it for this episode. We'll see you all next week.
See you next week, Ed.